Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being here. My name is Andrew, coming to you from the beautiful Carolinas. Today's topic is going to be why you can't unsee it. Think about that for a minute. Everyone, if you like the content, please like, subscribe, and share. So I'm referring to things that you experienced and saw when you were in the relationship. You experienced so many things that you did not want to experience. You were let down over and over again. You were manipulated. You were tricked. You were trapped. You were taken advantage of. And you were in that trauma bond. You were being subservient to the person who was abusing you more and more and more. And you felt compelled or pulled to communicate with them or to be with them. That's why this is the relationship that you will need to heal from. Now again, this is going to be one of the most challenging experiences of your life, breaking the trauma bond, healing, blocking this person, going no contact, etc. And you will do it in time, in your time. Having said those things, you can't unsee what you've seen. Think about triangulation, my least favorite thing that these people utilize. You now know what it is, or you're learning what triangulation is. And in layman's terms, it's when a person, a toxic person, is trying to throw a third party into your relationship. That third party may or may not even exist. An example would be, let's say that you were in the relationship with the toxic person. Maybe it was a romantic relationship. And they would come home from work and say, oh yeah, so-and-so at work told me I looked beautiful today. They said I looked absolutely amazing. You never pay me compliments. Then you would be scratching your head saying, what are you talking about? I tell you you're beautiful every single day, or handsome, whatever it is. But that person who existed or didn't at work was being told what they said or didn't say to you, so you would be doubting yourself, and it would be driving a wedge between you and that toxic person on purpose. You see, the toxic person you're considering, they need multiple sources of supply. They need multiple people on the hook at any one time. They create people up out of thin air. They discard people at the drop of a hat. They enter new relationships effortlessly, and they don't care about one person other than themselves. When you were in that relationship, you saw so many poor behaviors that you did not know that these behaviors should not be tolerated, number one. Number two, you didn't know that these behaviors had definitions for them or terms. Example, what is triangulation? What is gaslighting? What is the smear campaign, etc.? And you didn't realize that these people actually know what they're doing, and they're all over the globe. You see, just like you and myself speak the same language, specifically once you've healed, and once you've reached that pinnacle of indifference, the mountaintop of indifference, that's because you've healed. And when you do that, I can finish your sentence in a second. Even if you haven't healed, I can. And my hope is you can, or you will be able to soon once you've healed. But flip it. The toxic person, they have their own language, and they know exactly when another toxic person is in the proximity. Flip it again. They know when there's an empath, i.e. Thanksgiving Day, sitting right in front of them, and they know who to press and pull. They know who to push and tear away from. They know exactly which buttons to press when they want to, which levers to pull on each and every relationship that they're a part of. That is why it is advantage toxic person from the minute you met them until you healed. And you may say, well, that's a tough pill to swallow, Andrew. Yes, it is a tough pill to swallow. You need to remember that this person was doing what they were doing long before they met you. And they had fine-tuned their skill set of triangulation, of the smear campaign, of ghosting, of hanging up on you, of verbal abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, financial abuse, maybe even physical abuse. They had done this way before, and then they met you, and they said, wow, this person's absolutely amazing, which was you. This person's gonna catapult me from one leg of my life to the next leg, and I will again pepper them with abuse once I get them where I want them, which is in that devaluation stage, or it's in the trauma bond, whatever you want to call it. They're both interchangeable, yet unique to themselves, both of those terms. Now, having said all these things, A, the toxic person knows what they're doing. B, they're doing it right now if they're still breathing air. C, they will only get worse over time. But D, for this video, the most important part is you can't unsee what you've seen. Think about all the sleepless nights you experienced. Think about all the time you waited for that person to come home, or waited for them to respond to your text, or were wondering where they were, who they were with, or what they were doing. You were wondering why they were staying at work so late, 5-6 days a week. You were wondering why your birthday would be blown up. You'd be wondering why your vacation plans were always blown up. You'd be wondering why they wouldn't be paying attention to anything that mattered to you. You'd be wondering why all of your relationships seemed to be falling apart left, right, and center. You would be wondering why your bank account, which perhaps at one time was flush with money, was going less than zero. Maybe you took on credit card debt, etc. All these things were by design at the hands of the toxic person, because the toxic person, and you know who they are, they were trying to take as much from you as they could. And when they took whatever they could take from you, that's usually when they end these relationships, when you are no longer utility or provide resources or utility for them. That's when the jig is up, the game is up, and the news is out. And that's when you figure out, oh my gosh, I was just in this toxic, debilitating relationship. Not everybody figures it out. Not everybody finds that needle in a haystack, and certainly not everybody heals. You are one of the fortunate ones. You've figured out what kind of relationship you were part of. You're healing, or you have healed. You recognize and have wrapped your head around that, yeah, you can't unsee what you've seen, although you wish you could unsee so many things that you saw, but you can't, because your mind won't allow you to do it, which is another part post-relationship. When you are ruminating, many people are ruminating about the good times, the great times, the amazing times you had with this toxic person. Well, that's what your mind does. It shifts to the good times. And that's what is keeping you holding on, if you are still holding on, or it's what kept you holding on when you were still holding on. Eventually you let go. And when you let go, very, very difficult pill to swallow, but you must do it in order to heal. And that's when you start to focus and put all of your energy into yourself, not into the toxic person you are or were considering. Because this person doesn't care about you. They don't care about the new supply. They don't care about their own kids. They care about one person, which isn't you. It is themselves. And when you realize that you can't unsee what you've seen, that's when you have to wrap your head around that you will have to practice radical acceptance. You'll have to eventually go no contact and block that person, delete them, remove them, and all flying monkeys and people associated with them. Now that will take time. It will take a lot of time. But just like the healing path isn't linear, you figuring all these things out isn't linear either. Each and every video I create, I reuse and reuse some of the phrases I've coined over the years, meaning I repeat them. The reason why is because maybe today's the day you finally wrap your head around what radical acceptance is. Maybe today's the day you block the narcissist. Maybe today's the day you realize what ghosting is, or what triangulation is, or what projection, etc. are. The more education you acquire, the more you realize that you were abused, you were manipulated, and you can't unsee what you've seen. We would all like to go back in time and take back that one moment when we met the toxic person, but we can't do that, not on this planet called Earth. All we can do is heal from the relationship and focus on ourselves. And we must remember that where we place our attention is where we place our energy, and all of our attention and energy was going into that toxic person when we were in the relationship with them. Now it all goes back into ourselves, which is why we heal, which is why we slow our lives down, which is why we practice radical acceptance, which is why we learn the definitions and the terms in the narcissistic abusive cycle and what toxicity is. This is also when we learn and realize what humanity is all about. You see, not everybody thinks the way you think, not everybody has your best interest at heart, and not everybody will do what you think they will do. And at the top of that list is, yes, the toxic person. Many people on the healing path and throughout your life have let you down. You probably didn't want to realize it or recognize it or admit it, but it's true. That's why the people that know you the closest are usually the ones that hurt you the most, because they know what spots are vulnerable to you. They know your hopes, dreams, aspirations. They know what is important to you. Again, at the top of that list was the toxic person. They weaponized whatever they could against you. Your empathy, your relationships, your health, your money, your time, your kindness, your fulfillment, your hobbies, your job, anything they could, they would weaponize it against you, and it would never be enough. You must remember that no matter what you did in that relationship, it would never be enough. They would always demand and require and ask of more and more and more from you. That's why when that relationship ended, A, it ended when it was supposed to end, tough pill to swallow. B, it ended because you could not sustain the weight of that relationship any longer. And C, because they were trying to fracture and break that relationship over and over and over again, because they were testing you. And once they knew they had their dirty fangs or their claws sunken into you, the devaluation began, and they began to look for your replacement, although you didn't know it, because these toxic people lily pad or leapfrog from one relationship to the next. And when you were in that relationship, whether you were married to them or not, they were already grooming other people behind your back, or maybe even in front of you. That's why these people, and the toxic person is the person I'm referring to, that's why they always go down to the level of water that suits them, which is that low vibrational quagmire state, like the one behind me. They don't elevate, they don't improve, they don't have the beautiful, bright, shining light that you have. They capture that for a period of time, which was the length of that relationship. and they did their best to extinguish it and you once they took whatever they could from you. But they couldn't do it to you like they had done to people before they met you, because you're here, you're in the community, you're getting your cup full. You are resilient, you are full of focus and fortitude and strength and courage and commitment and determination and purpose and direction. The narcissist, the toxic person, has nothing of what you have. That's why they wanted to take what you possessed, because they're envious and jealous and they're cowards and they're bullies, and they wanted to leave you a shell of yourself, which again is why, and I share this in so many videos, it's why you became an extension of them. You lost yourself to them. You lost your identity to them. You became the walking apology. You became the ATM. You became the cook, the cleaner, the chauffeur, the pool person, the person who paid the bills, planned the vacations, paid tuition, raised children or stepchildren, etc. You were the unpaid helper and so much more. You did things you never thought you would do. You experienced things you never thought you'd experience, which is why what? That's right, you can't unsee what you've seen. Think about who you are and what you've done and what you've accomplished in life before you met that toxic person. You probably did an awful lot. Maybe you had children, maybe you went to university, maybe you're a doctor, maybe you're a lawyer, maybe you're something else, maybe you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, who knows what you did, but you did magnificent things. And then lo and behold came this toxic person who twisted your world upside down. They took you on that roller coaster of emotions, super high and dropped you super low, and they took you and pushed you away and pulled you back in. You couldn't get your bearings, you couldn't unsee what you saw. That's why you didn't know what you were experiencing, but what you did know is you're trying to get back to the beginning of that relationship, which is when you thought everything was great and it was going swimmingly. It wasn't, it was all an illusion. It was all a person playing a role in their own tiny little pea-brain script, their own script that goes around and around and around, where anybody, and I mean anybody, is interchangeable, anybody is expendable, and everybody is nothing but a bit actor. Sorry to say that, tough pill to swallow, but that's what these people think about. They only think about the here and the now, what's in front of them at any one moment, which is why they can move on so effortlessly and so easily. That's why they cheat, that's why they lie, that's why they steal, because it fills them up. It makes them feel good to destroy other people's lives. It makes them feel good to keep secrets from other people. It makes them feel good to keep people trapped and stuck in that narcissistic fog. It makes them feel good to keep the court system dragged out longer and longer and longer. And it makes them feel good to realize that you can't move out of the relationship that you were and or are a part of, while they're acting and making it seem like they're living their best life. You must remember, these toxic people are not living their best life. All they do is steal parasitically from other people. And that's what they did with you, and that's what they're doing right now, or that's what they're about to do. They want to destroy, they don't want to create. They want to ruin, they don't want to build. And they want to decimate, they don't want to leave anybody the ability to put themselves back together. But that's what you've done, or that's what you're doing. And when you wrap your head around the fact that you can't unsee what you've seen, that is very challenging, it's very daunting, but it's a fact. Think about all of the toxicity you experienced. Maybe you were ghosted, maybe you were left on vacation at a remote island, or maybe you were left at the airport, or maybe you weren't picked up, or maybe you were left at the altar, or maybe you were left at the business place. Who knows what happened? But the narcissist, the toxic person, remember, they will do whatever they want to people, but they don't want people to do those same things to them. Play that part of the video a few times. I will say it again. They want to be able to do to people what they don't want to be done to them. Let's talk about abandonment for a moment. Did the toxic person abandon you? Yes, they probably did. Would they like that if you did it or someone else did it to them? Absolutely not. What about triangulation? Would they like it if someone else did it to them? No, they wouldn't, but they do it to other people. What about financial abuse? What does the narcissist or the toxic person love more than money? They love your money more than money. So what will they do? They'll financially abuse you all day long while they are squirreling away your money and your hard-earned assets while they don't spend a penny of theirs. This is what they do. This is the conundrum. This is the paradox of the narcissist, of the toxic person. They do everything they don't want to be done to them, and they see people in shades of black or white, of good or bad. And once you are painted black or dark, whatever you want to call it, in the narcissist's tiny little pea brain, you're not going to get out of that. You're going to stay painted that way because they already have your replacement lined up. Or maybe after years or decades have gone by, maybe they did decide to paint you in a different light and they want to go back and finish you off. Who knows what they're doing? But you must remember a few things before I close the video. 1, become unhooverable, which means do not accept a hoover. 2, go no contact. 3, recognize and realize that that relationship spun your world upside down and inside out, and you're gonna have to heal from that relationship. Number 4, you're gonna have to wrap your head around that going no contact is the path, and that there will be casualties of the relationship littered all throughout the relationship and even post-relationship. And number 5, I will share this, that you really must realize that not everybody has your best interest at heart, and not everybody thinks the way you think, and many people are wolves in sheep's clothing, and they will say whatever they can to get close to you or to take from you whatever they want to take from you, and they will act like they're your bestie or they have your best interest at heart when they need something, but flip it, when you need something, they'll be nowhere to be found, and you know who's at the top of that list. That's why you really need to stay away from these people as far and as fast as you possibly can. You need to recognize that you can't unsee what you've seen. You are gonna have to heal. You're gonna have to meditate, journal, see a therapist, watch videos, read, heal childhood wounds, really slow your life down, stay in that cocoon of boundaries, insulate and protect yourself. Use your instincts and intuition, meaning trust them. Pay attention to red flags and understand that this is a journey. It is a marathon, it's not a sprint. And nobody, and I mean nobody, can tell you when you will heal. Not one person can. If anyone tells you you will heal in X period of time, they don't know what they're talking about. This is a journey for one, by one, and that benefits one. It is your journey, it is my journey. So you need to wrap your head around it. No, you can't unsee what you've seen, but you can process these things and you can get the toxicity out of your energy field. And that's what I've done, and that's what you are doing, or that's what you're about to do. You see, this is the relationship you'll need to heal from. And now you're realizing that and recognizing it. It's something the toxic person already knew, because they had watched other people's lives implode at their own hands, meaning the toxic person had blown up other people's lives, and they did it with you, or they're trying to do it with you. That's why you really need to recognize that unless you've gone through the cycle and you understand and can complete my sentence, where you know the definitions and terms and experiences, once you wrap your head around that you can do that, that many people won't be able to understand that, which means many people will claim they know what you went through, but they won't. It's not unless you've gone through the cycle and you can wrap your head around what certain things are and what behaviors and mannerisms are and how human people, how humans can behave, that you can finish my sentence. You speak the same language. That is a tough pill to swallow, but it's real, because this relationship has changed you, whether you know it or not. And once you've healed, it's changed you for the better. Shame on the narcissist. Shame on all the toxic people. Shame on anyone who ever took advantage of you. Shame on anyone who took your empathy and your love and trust and twisted it around and dumped all their toxicity into you. That is what these toxic people do. That's why you're gonna have to heal from them, and you're gonna have to realize that you're not gonna be able to unsee what you've seen, but what you can do, and you will do, and you need to do, and you're gonna have to do, is heal from that relationship and maintain no contact and implement your boundaries. So that's the video. I hope you liked it. I loved doing it from the beautiful Carolinas. This is Andrew. Namaste. Have a great afternoon, evening, or morning, no matter where you are on the planet. You are not alone. Remember that. You are not alone. I love you all. God bless you. And I will talk to you tomorrow. Recognize that no matter where you are on the journey, no matter where you are on the planet, you are stronger than you know. You are loved. You are cherished. You are honored. You are respected. And no matter what curveballs have been thrown at you today, yesterday, last week, a year ago, 10 years ago, 30 years ago, you're still here. You need to believe in yourself the way I believe in you. You must not quit. You must not stop. You must not give up. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. Believe in yourself. You are being tested. You are going to pass the test. You're going to make it. Stay patient, stay vigilant, stay true, stay focused, stay confident, stay stoic, and stay determined and on the path. Stay away from the toxicity. Heal, process things, understand that you were targeted, and that tomorrow the sun will rise and tomorrow will be a better day. I love you all. God bless you, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye, everybody. I love you guys. Bye.